Buenos dias, mi amigos. Hello and welcome once again to the Circuito de Jerez Angelito. It is great to be back again for the second race of the weekend in the F4 Spanish Championship, penultimate round 2024. Yesterday, we saw a brilliant battle between Mattia Colnaghi of Italy and Juan Cota, the King of Valencia, after his triple-header victory last time out. He got a second-place finish yesterday, with Keanu Alazadi coming home in fifth position as the championship leader. Maciej Gladys, title contender for Poland, also coming home in the top three. We've had official confirmation after yesterday as well that the third place points finish from Motorland Aragon that Keanu Alazadi had taken away from him has now been handed back to him. So he's also got the points that go with it. That means that with Mattia Colnaghi and Keanu Alazadi getting a qualifying pole position apiece, they now have 20 points between them with 2 races to go this weekend and then 3 more races at the Catalunya Grand Prix circuit in Barcelona in November. It's going to be a really exciting battle for supremacy here at Jerez after yesterday's race, where we had fairly high humidity into the 59% range and 22 degrees air temperature, making the track a toasty 32 degrees. We had fog this morning, which has completely delayed proceedings, which will mean that the track temperature and conditions will be very different to what they were yesterday. Should be a completely different ball game for all of the contenders out there on the starting grid. There is Juan Cota, the Drivex driver who got the hat-trick of victories at Valencia, starting in 4th position on the starting grid on the second row of the grid, alongside Maciej Gladys, the Polish driver, who is still pushing hard to keep his championship hopes intact. It's going to be a really interesting situation for the contenders. As you can see for yourself, they are now getting themselves into position there. The fans are very much enjoying things as well as they are in position, continuing on their continual progress. Keanu Alazadi and Mattia Colnaghi, the championship contenders, line up on the front row of the starting grid. And Esther Rivera, the Mexican driver, lines up 5th position on the overall starting grid, 3rd on the rookie grid. So once again, we've got a very exciting race ahead of us. 2 5-grid place penalties to talk about going into this second race of the weekend. Yvan David and Joan Ciconti, rather sadly, picking up 5-place grid penalties for their troubles yesterday. Not entirely sure what Yvan Davids was for, but there is James Zagotzi, the young man from Miami in Florida, the Red Bull Junior for the Campos Racing Team. It'll be fascinating to see what he can do as he pushes himself towards another podium finish. It certainly wouldn't be his first of the season. It'll be an exciting challenge for everybody. 25 minutes plus 1 lap for this particular race, which means that the race victory will be for 18 points for the winning driver, 15 for second place, 12 for third, and so on. Down on the starting grid is Alex Garcia. It's a little bit nippier than it was yesterday, clearly.
Hello, Jake. Yes, exactly. We had a pretty interesting morning in terms of weather. It's changed completely compared to Saturday. We had the presence of the mist, and so the qualifying session was completely different. Even the drivers mentioned the humidity was a problem, of course, and they were probably expecting it to be a little bit trickier than it is right now. But you know, the sun's out, and I think in a few minutes the temperature will start to rise substantially. And I think throughout an almost half an hour race, I think drivers will notice a big change in tire behavior from the start until the last lap.
So essentially, I guess it all comes down to managing your tyres in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the race to make sure that you've got a solid set of boots for the last 10 minutes. What have been the drivers' discussions going into this race with the delay in the fog? How has that changed the preparation and the mindset of the drivers going in?
Well, obviously, you know, the situation in the championship for some of the drivers at the top is pretty tricky, so I think they're quite focused on that. Especially Keanu Alazadi needs to make the most out of this race because, especially on the third race, he's starting from P6, so he has a few points to defend. And of course, his rivals need to get on top of that. But I think also it's important to mention, as you were mentioning now when we were discussing about the tires. But if we talk about tires, if we talk about technical matters, I think I have the perfect man to give us a little bit of an insight on that. So we have Albert Fábrega with us this weekend, of course, of Formula One fame in several aspects. So Albert, first of all, thank you for being with us here. And we have to talk about the tires. We were mentioning how the temperature change is going to be an issue for these drivers, especially considering that just 10 minutes ago it was still pretty dark on the main straight.
Yeah.
So drivers need to adapt to that through the next 20-something minutes.
Well, I'm pretty much sure that the engineers have had already this in account. I'm sure that they work on the tire pressures to avoid drivers suffering over temperature at the end of the race. There will be a temperature increasing till the end of the race, and there will be a little bit of time management, I'm pretty much sure, but sure that it's been on the table for the engineers. So yeah, I'm pretty much sure that they changed already the setup on the tires, and they will try to manage with that.
And these drivers, young as they may be, they're still very, very proficient drivers, and they know how to manage the situations. And of course, engineers as well. We talk often about how drivers are getting, learning and growing, but this also is true for the teams.
Yeah, and it's good that they are here to learn. They are here to understand how the track and the tires are performing, and they need to change their driving style during the race to adapt to the conditions. Being careful on the turns, on the corners, that there is a lot of energy on the tire. Being careful with the throttle when they are playing outside, when they're leaving or exiting the corners, and they need to be careful with that to try to reach the end of the race with the best performance on the tire, for sure.
So Albert, thank you very much for being with us again, and we'll let you go and enjoy the start, because I think the cars are coming on the main straight. So Jake, it's time to enjoy the racing.
It certainly is. Thank you, Alex Garcia. Let's get back into the action with the drivers now lining up on the starting grid. It's pole position for Chiano Alazzari with Mattia Colnaghi alongside. Then Maciej Gladish and Juan Cota, and Esther Rivera and James Igozzi, Thomas Strauben and Griffin Peebles, René Lammers and Jan Piotrowski in the top 10. Then Lucas Flusha and Nathan Ty, Matas Reiber and Adam Alazzari. And then we'll have Ariel Elkin and Francisco Macedo. Behind them, we'll have Enzo Tarvadichko and Lenny Rietz, Gabriel Gomez, and then we'll have Chase Fernandez, the British driver, 20th on the grid from Tim Gerhardt and Maxi Restrepo, Lorenzo Castillo and Yavan David, Adam Hideg and Christian Cantu, Filippo Fiorentino and Peter Buzinellos, Alexander Jacobi and Victor Dobzhansky, Chris Elfagali and Lorenzo Campos from Andres Cardenas and Joan Ciconti. So the 34 drivers lining up in position then. The revs will rise, the lights are out, we're racing at Jerez. It's a great start from the front of the grid for Chiano Alazzari. He bolts away. Maciej Gladish has got a beautiful start as well. Up in a second place past Mattia Colnaghi, who looks like he's going to have an absolute howler. Round the outside, he tries to hang on to third place, and that'll do nicely for him. He manages to stop Juan Cota coming through into third position initially, and as they work their way through the first couple of S's, it is Maciej Gladish who hangs on for second position. Great work from the pole as he hangs on into second place there in front of Mattia Colnaghi and Juan Cota. Chiano Alazzari is off and away. He's out like a bolt in the blue and deliberately starting to stretch away now. Excellent start then from the boy from Dubai. He's already making up for yesterday's difficulties. He finished 5th in race 1 yesterday. Whoa! Big tank snapper from Griffin Peebles coming off the right-hander as they come onto the back straight. And now he's side by side with Ernesto Rivera behind James Igozzi, the young man from Miami. And Mattia Colnaghi hanging on to third position for the moment. A big run wide there from Griffin Peebles as he duels with Ernesto Rivera on the first lap. He decides to let the Mexican go for the moment. And still, Colnaghi and Cota dueling away for third position. It's starting to get a little bit less compressed in the positions behind them. But Chiano Alazzari has stretched out a gap, and Maciej Gladish has been able to grab second position away from Mattia Colnaghi. The championship looking favourable for Chiano Alazzari on the morning of race 2. So Alazzari, great start. Gladish, Colnaghi, Cota, Igozzi and Rivera. That is the top 6 for the time being. A really exciting situation for the competitors as they work their way through turn 1. Looks like everybody is through in the first couple of sectors as well, so no offs at the moment. Touch wood, hopefully we're not going to get any at all. We would love to see everybody get to the flag in safe positions, but as they come down the main straight, it is Chiano Alazzari who leads at the end of lap 1. Then Gladish, Colnaghi, Cota, Igozzi, Rivera, Peebles, Piotrowski, Strauben. The last man in the points is Thomas Strauben, of course, because in the shorter races, only the top 9 drivers score championship points, not the top 10. So Chiano Alazzari is looking good for a solid 18 points for the win here. Maciej Gladish, second, looking good for 15. Mattia Colnaghi in third, looking good for 12. Then Cota on 10, Igozzi on 8, Rivera on 6, Peebles on 4, Piotrowski on 2, and Strauben on the 1 point for the moment. Behind them, it's René Lammers and Lucas Flusha battling away, although Lammers appears to have come off the road. I think Lammers has had an off somewhere. So Lammers has gone off on the first sector by the look of it and is out of the race. Certainly not coming through on the first sector, so I'm not sure what's happened, but Lammers looks like he's out of it. As Colnaghi has a think about the move on Gladish. Can't get the move on the inside line. But somewhere around the course, we are missing René Lammers, who has dropped down to 13th, actually. He had a transponder issue rather than a problem with the car itself, but Flusha, Tai and Reiber have all got through. So I think Lammers must have come off the road and missed the timing beacon. So as a result, he is slotted back into 13th place ahead of Enzo Tarvanichkul and Adam Al-Azadi. But certainly for the moment, it's not going his way, and that's big problems for René Lammers, who certainly disappeared from the timing screen for a moment. But we're hoping there's a little bit more to come. Al-Azadi, Gladish, Kolnagi, Kota, Egozzi, and Rivera. That's your top six. The final 3-point scorers, Petrovski, Peebles and Strauben. In rookie, Maciej Gladish is looking for a race win here, ahead of Mattia Kolnagi. But Keanu Al-Azadi has the lead of the race overall, and of course, as far as the championship is concerned, that's going to put him 26 points now ahead of Mattia Kolnagi, as opposed to the 20 points he has over him at the present moment. Because Al-Azadi currently is looking at 18 points for the win in this race. Kolnagi is looking at 12 for second. So that's going to be an extension of the championship lead for Keanu Al-Azadi to a grand total of 26 points. And that is, of course, the win in race one plus a bonus. So he can be very comfortable going into race three at least. If it stays like this, Keanu Al-Azadi looking very good indeed to take the championship lead into Catalonia. Not sure why in particular we were looking at the main straight there, but clearly something was untoward. Lenny Reed has managed to get the move on the British driver Chase Fernandez a little further back. Chase Fernandez, of course, making his debut in the F4 Spanish Championship. In fact, it's his debut in any form of F4 as far as I'm aware. He's only had 2 days of testing prior to this weekend in an F4 car, so pretty incredible that he's right up there and mixing it with the likes of Ivan David, Adam Hideg, Filippo Fiorentino and Peter Bucininos, who have a fairly decent amount of track time in the car now. There's the rookie table to the left of your screen. Maciej Gladish ahead of Mattia Kolnagi and Ernesto Rivera. In the points, obviously, they also go down to 9 positions. So Petrovski, Strauben, Flusha, Tai, Reiber and René Lammers all looking good for points as well. Now, Chase Fernandez looks like he's had an off somewhere. He's dropping down the ranks. So that's unfortunate for Chase Fernandez. Has the British driver gone off the road somewhere? He was running in 21st position behind Lorenzo Castillo. So something's gone wrong there for Chase Fernandez, or he's had a transponder issue himself. I would think it's probably the latter, because transponder difficulties are quite rare. So Keanu Al-Azadi in front of Gladish and Kolnagi, who are still dueling over second place. No sign yet of Chase Fernandez, but he certainly seems to have slipped to the back of the field. He went off in sector 2, lost about 17 seconds through the rest of the field, so that's why Chase Fernandez has dropped to the bottom of the field. Not sure what happened, we didn't see it. Hopefully we'll see it on a replay. But certainly Chase Fernandez, I'm afraid to say, has dropped to the back of the field, 34th out of 34. That's very unfortunate. Meanwhile, Enzo Tarvanichkul has managed to get the overtake on Adam Al-Azadi. That is for 14th place. So the other Red Bull Junior in the front end of this field, because we've obviously talked about James Egozzi, who is there in the train. You can see him in 5th position in the Red Bull colours. But you can also see Enzo Tarvanichkul, if you look a bit further down the line, in 14th place, the young Thai, former junior karting world champion. There's some good battles for the contenders so far, but certainly at the moment, Keanu Al-Azadi leads the race by 1.6 seconds over Maciej Gladish, Mattia Kolnagi, Juan Kota, James Egozzi, Ernesto Rivera, Jan Petrovski, Griffin Peebles and Thomas Strauben in the points-paying positions. So Keanu Al-Azadi has the pace up front at the moment, the young man from Dubai. Let's have a look at the replay of the start. Perfect launch for Keanu Al-Azadi. Couldn't have got that better timed if he tried it 2 or 3 times again. There was one car stopped at the back of the field initially, struggling to get away. I think that might have been the Technicar of Viktor Dobzhansky. Meanwhile, Chase Fernandez, I'm told, has brought his car back into the pits to retire. So Chase Fernandez picked up damage going off the road, and I'm afraid his race is over. Very unfortunate for the Englishman. So Al-Azadi, Gladish and Kolnagi. That's still your top 3 at the moment. 17 minutes plus the additional extra lap to go. So obviously a little bit of battle and badinage going on with the drivers out there. Just trying to see if everybody else has been able to keep it together after Chase Fernandez's retirement. But it does look as though Chase Fernandez is going no further in this race. He has dropped to the back and he's no longer circulating. So that's very unfortunate for the British driver. Vice champion of the Ginetta Junior Series this year, of course. There's Juan Cota, the man who won all 3 races at Valencia. The first driver to win all 3 races in a weekend in Spanish F4 in the 2024 season. And the first man to give the Jerez racing team a victory in Spanish F4 since a young man called Franco Colapinto, who of course is now in Formula 1 with the Williams team. So it really does show you can go from the F4 Spanish Championship to Formula 1. And certainly Juan Cota will be hoping he's the next Spanish wunderkind to make his way forward. Chiano Alazzari, 1.6 seconds now in front of the Polish driver Maciej Gladys in his KCL MP car. Because of the wealth of drivers in the MP Motorsport fold, they actually have 2 teams for them, would you believe? And it's amazing, we've got MP drivers in first, second and third, but they've got 3 completely different liveries on their cars. Chiano Alazzari in the traditional orange and black livery for the MP Motorsport team. Maciej Gladys in the more traditional Orlen colours from Poland. And in third position, we've got the Richard Mille Academy colours of Mattia Colnaghi. Fourth place, Juan Cota for the Jerez team. Then James Igozzi, he's actually racing for Campos, although you wouldn't be able to tell that because, of course, he's racing in the Red Bull livery, based on the fact that he is a Red Bull junior, the young man from Miami in Florida, a former teammate, of course, of Chiano Alazzari, the race leader. Now, there's a missing front wing. So there is a front wing in the gravel trap. That's almost certainly going to be Chase Fernandez's, because nobody else has come into the pits to change or repair their car or change tyres or anything, so I would suspect that that's got to be the... Right, mind you, having said that, Francisco Macedo has just pulled into the pits, so potentially then Francisco Macedo, that could be his front wing. So Francisco Macedo already struggling as Mattia Colnaghi. James Igozzi's really going for it on the inside of Juan Cota. God, he left that one late. Decides to have a think about it. Juan Cota really forces him to the limit on the braking zone, and James Igozzi just had a feeling he could try for the move and then decided not to commit. He must have been having flashbacks of Schumacher and Villeneuve in 1997 on this very circuit at that very corner. That was so close between the two of them. And it looked as though Mattia Colnaghi was giving a little bit of pressure to his teammate Maciej Gladys as well. So a lot of interesting battles going on. Colnaghi using as much of the curve as he can afford to. Maciej Gladys doing a superb job in second position. Good points are going to be picked up from here. He's going to gain 3 points on Mattia Colnaghi, but he's going to lose out a little, of course, to Chiano Alazzari. He'll only lose 3 points to him, but it keeps his championship hopes alive by finishing in the podium-paying positions. So Alazzari leads the way. Then it's Gladys, Oliveira, Peebles and Stroven. Flusher in P10. Then Ty, Lammers, Tarvin. Alazzari is 14th. That's Adam Alazzari, his younger brother, still only 15 years of age. Then Matas River from Ariel Elkin, the Israeli driver who has worked his way up into 16th position ahead of Gabriel Gomez, the Brazilian. Then Lenny Reed, Lorenzo Castillo, Yvan David is up to 20th again. Then Adam Hideg, Peter Bucinelos and Andres Cardenas, the Peruvian, who had a really difficult time in qualifying. And so Cardenas has had to work his way from the back of the field in every race this weekend. Alex Jacobi, the American, 24th position ahead of Filippo Fiorentino, another Brazilian in the field. Then Chris Alfagali, the Lebanese driver, ahead of Tim Gerhardt and Maxi Restrepo. And behind the Colombian is Christian Cantu in front of Victor Dobzhansky. And then Lorenzo Campos, the Angolan, in front of the Australian driver, Joan Ciconti. So we're waiting to see where Chiano Alazzari is in relation to Maciej Gladys. Goodness me, the gap's gone up. 2.2 seconds now is the gap between the two drivers. That just shows you how much confidence you can have in the car when you've got a lead and you've got a rhythm. Chiano Alazzari 2.2 clear now of Gladys and Colnaghi, and that's really going to help his tactics. It's going to help his strategy to move himself further forward and increase that championship lead back up from 20 points to 26 points heading into the third and final race of the weekend. Chiano Alazzari has the fastest lap of 1:43.913. So it's a cooler track conditions compared to yesterday, of course. 28 degrees Celsius is the track temperature because it's only 19 degrees Celsius air temperature. Feels a bit more like the UK than it does Spain at the moment. But it really is fascinating to see how the contenders are continuing to move out on the circuit. Francisco Macedo is still in pit lane, so I assume he's not coming back out again, because he's been there for a couple of laps now. So that's 2 retirements, Chase Fernandez of Great Britain and Francisco Macedo of Portugal. So some difficulties then for the contenders in the race as we are continuing an exciting battle. Chiano Balazardi down the straight, up to the breaking point for the hairpin. 2.3 seconds now clear of Maciej Gladish, the Polish driver, in second place from Mattia Kolnagi. And Wayne Kota, James Igotzi, and Esther Vera, Jan Piotrowski, Griffin Peebles, and Thomas Strauben. Lucas Flusha is just outside the points at the moment, needs to find a way past Thomas Strauben. He's only half a second or so behind him, so there's plenty of opportunities still. Oh, big run wide from Chiano Balazardi. You can tell how hard he's pushing. He's got way onto the curbs there on the far side. Now, that's okay, provided he hasn't gained any time from it. And he certainly hasn't received any warnings for truck limits as yet, so that's probably the only first real mistake that Chiano Balazardi has actually made. But if he hasn't gained any time by doing it, then it's not going to cost him even a warning flag or anything like that. But the good thing is that Chiano Balazardi not only has the pace and the gap, but he also has the composure and the strength of will to be able to hold on. He's a really mature young lad, is Chiano Balazardi. He's got incredible reactions. He's got a really calm and composed nature. He's got a can-do attitude to everything. He embraces every challenge he gets with a really exciting mode and just a perfect attitude for a racing driver. He was actually competing in the Dubai 24 Hours earlier this year. I'm fairly sure he's the youngest driver in history ever to compete in it. And when he was in the Porsche, he was actually the quickest Porsche driver out there during several of his stints. So he's got plenty of experience now in racing, both virtual and physical. Karting champion back home in the United Arab Emirates, was part of the Tony Kart factory team in the World and European Championships the last few years. But stepping up into the world of F4 last year and proving himself to be a great rookie. Now he's proving himself to be a potential Spanish F4 champion. And the only way from there is up, up and away. Bit of a lock up there from Juan Cota. Doing a great job after his 3 victories in a row at Valencia. Nobody could get a look in on the fabulous Ricardo Tormo circuit last time out. There's the man who's trying to get a look in now, James Igotzi from Florida. Long have we waited for a driver from Miami to get back into Formula One again, and we've got 2 of them trying, James Igotzi and Alex Powell, who actually took a win in his F4 race yesterday at Monza. So these 2 are in a direct race to see who can put Miami on the Formula One drivers' grid first. And interesting because one of them is a Red Bull Junior and the other one is a Mercedes Junior. Through they come again. Amazing to see that the second through 5th place battle is staying pretty rigid. Maciej Gladish is just soaking up this pressure to hold on to second position. And he's a driver who has had a very frustrating time through his karting career. He won the FIA Karting Academy trophy back in the 2021 season, which is of course the same title that was won by Charles Leclerc back in the day. So considering that that's a great championship to showcase his skill and expertise, Maciej Gladish had a lot of bad luck when he was racing in the FIA Karting European and World Championships. Things never really seemed to go his way. He won a Champions of the Future Winter Cup, but other than that, he had very little success because there was a lot of bad luck and a few accidents that came his way. Mechanical problems as well while leading races under the Ricky Flynn Motorsport colours. That's the same team, of course, that gave us the likes of Lando Norris, Guan Yu Zhou and Oscar Piastri. So considering that he's come from the same stable as 2 Formula One Grand Prix winners, Maciej Gladish, who's also won the same karting title as won by Charles Leclerc, is definitely a name to watch out for the future. And, oh, that's Nathan Tye! That's Nathan Tye, the British driver's gone. So Nathan Tye's had an incident somewhere. What is it with the Brits this weekend? Neither Chase Fernandez nor Nathan Tye have really been able to demonstrate what they can do. That's at the bottom of the hairpin. Now, is the car race worthy? No, it's not. Rear suspension is completely destroyed. So Nathan Tye is going to have to park that up at the marshal's post and retire it. Well, that's devastating. He's got into an incident there. Can't quite make out who that was with. He was battling on the road with the likes of Lucia and Time van Nitschkel. So I couldn't quite make out who that was with. We'd need to see a replay of how that incident occurred realistically, but That's such a shame. Both the British drivers for the second race this weekend, Chase Fernandez and Nathan Ty, not really getting to show what they can do. Safety car! Safety car is out. Well, it looks like Nathan Ty has not been able to get his car to a safe vantage point. So the safety car has been called, and this really tightens things up. Talk about pressure in the last 5 minutes. This race is kind of going exactly the same way as it did yesterday. We went through the majority of the race with no cautions or anything at all. It was only in the last 10 minutes that we had a safety car yesterday, and it's happened again exactly the same way today. This time, the safety car is ready and prepared to catch them. Yesterday, they had a bit of an issue with it, but on this occasion, it looks as though the safety car is ready to collect them. So Keanu Al-Azari slows up the field on the back straight. I'm not sure if we'll get a replay of that incident or not yet. It's not confirmed. And certainly, I haven't got any messages on my monitor to tell me that there's definitely going to be a look at what happened. But that's why we're under safety car. You can see Nathan Ty, his car has stopped out on the circuit itself. So you have to go safety car. Mind you, in the race at Argentina in the Stock Car Pro yesterday, we had a car stopped out on the circuit and they didn't go safety car until it was too late, and the car had already been recovered. So Keanu Al-Azari is the race leader, but now Maciej Gladiš is right behind him. What was nearly a 3-second gap is now a few inches now because of the safety car punching up the field. So this is where a couple of drivers may take an opportunity or two to move forward. Now let's go through the order at this point. Keanu Al-Azari is your leader. Maciej Gladiš in second, Matej Kolnagi in third. It's the top 9 that scores points. So we've got Juan Cota in fourth, James Zagotsky in fifth, Ernesto de Vera is sixth. Then Jan Piotrowski, Griffin Peebles and Thomas Strauven complete the point scorers. Behind them, it is Lucas Flusha in 10th place, then Enzo Tarmanichko in 11th. And then we have Adam Al-Azari, René Lammers, Matas Reiber, Ariel Elkin in 15th place from Lenny Ritt and Lorenzo Castillo. Ivan David, the Sri Lankan, is up into 18th place. Then it is Adam Hideg of Hungary and Peter Buzineros of Australia. Then Andres Cardenas, the Peruvian, Alex Jacobi, the American, in front of the Lebanese driver Chris El Fagali. Then it is Filippo Fiorentino, the Brazilian, ahead of Tim Gerhardt, the Austrian. Then we have the Colombian driver Maxi Restrepo. From Mexico, it's Christian Cantu. And then we have the Polish driver Viktor Dobrzański in front of Angola's Lorenzo Campos. Joan Ciconti, the Australian, is in 30th place. Gabriel Gomez is down in 31st. I'm not entirely sure what's happened to the Brazilian. Maybe it was Gomez in the battle with Nathan Ty, but certainly Gomez is now down at the back of the field, and he has not completed his 11th lap, interestingly. So I think Gabriel Gomez may be or retired somewhere else on the circuit. Certainly we have 3 retirements, Nathan Macedo and Chase Fernandez. Now Gabriel Gomez has crossed the line to complete his 11th lap, but he's had a nightmare lap there, and he's currently about 40 seconds behind everybody else. So I'm not entirely sure what has put Gabriel Gomez all the way down the field. Maybe he's come in and had problems and then repaired the car. If you're just joining us on the F4 Spanish YouTube channel, great to be with you once again. Jake Sanson in the commentary box, Alex Garcia down in pit lane, and it's Keanu Al-Azari leading the way under safety car. We've got just a few minutes left of racing, and I think the marshals have already moved Nathan Ty from his vantage point on the exit of the hairpin that we saw Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher have their famous Formula One collision back in 1997. That's for the older viewers, of course. The younger viewers won't have a word what I'm talking about. As they work their way through the right-handers, we're about to get indication as to whether we're going to peel off. Is the safety car coming in? Yes, it is. Safety car is in this lap. There's Gabriel Gomez, desperately trying to catch up to the rest of the field. So the Brazilian looks like he's just going to get there in time. So he can make up some places before the end if he's got an opportunity. And Keanu Al-Azari's bolted. He's gone for it nice and early. So Keanu Al-Azari not waiting around. And he's going to make the push. He wants to get well clear of Maciej Gladiš. What a restart from Keanu Al-Azari. Absolutely perfect from the MP driver. He comes up the final turn, and it's green, 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 green once again here at Spain in the Jerez de la Frontera circuit. And Keanu Al-Azari is well clear from Maciej Gladiš and Matej Kolnagi. He's already got about 4 car lengths. That's as good a restart as you're ever going to get. That would have been practiced and drilled several times over on his iRacing rig on the Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. Chiara Valazari trains every day. He's even invited me a couple of times to train with him. Fabulous young racer. He never stops racing in his head. He just keeps on pushing it. He is so hungry. He is so determined. And it's great to see him out on the circuit here at Jerez, really starting to showcase what he can do to the world. There's Mattia Colnaghi, third position in the KCLMP car, trying to get close enough to Maciej Gladish, the pole, to challenge for second place. He swarms around. He tries to make himself big enough in the mirrors that Maciej Gladish is going to panic on the brake pedal. Not going to happen. Maciej Gladish is no spring chicken. He wasn't born yesterday. He is a very wily fox for a 15-year-old, and he knows exactly what to do under the circumstances. Great work from Gladish and Colnaghi. One attacks, the other stays firm. This is Maciej Gladish doing his one and only Gandalf impersonation. You shall not pass, as Maciej Colnaghi tries to get close to him. Juan Cota, James Igozzi, Ernesto Rivera in the top six. Then Petrowski, Peebles and Thomas Strauben. Lucas Flucher has not been able to take advantage on the restart yet to get ahead of Thomas Strauben in the Rodin car. So it looks as though the Belgian is going to pick up that final point. A little bit of a lock up there from Maciej Gladish into the hairpin. Juan Cota did exactly the same thing. 1 minute to go, so they go over the line to start this lap. This is going to be the penultimate lap. There's not going to be enough time to run more than one lap after this one. So Chiara Valazari just trying to stretch away from Maciej Gladish. He's pulled out 0.8 of a second on the first lap of the restart. That's excellent work from Chiara Valazari. He set the fastest lap of the race as well, a 1:43.897. The fastest rookie lap has come from Mattia Colnaghi, a 1:43.907. So just 1/100th of a second between the two of them in terms of fastest lap times. That really does show you just how competitive these two are. Absolutely phenomenal, the pace that these guys are producing, as James Igozzi kicks his car out to the curbs to try and get a little bit more speed over Juan Cota. They go down the back straight into the infamous hairpin that saw the clash between Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher when these boys were not even born. 3, 2, 1, time is up. So the race comes down to 0, and that means that at the end of this lap, we're going to start the final lap. So it really is now or never for drivers to make progress in this race, but this is a circuit that only really lends itself to overtakes when you've got close enough to the car in front to even attempt the move. This is Dirty Air City, Jerez de la Frontera. It's not an easy circuit to get right. You've got to look after tyres, you've got to manage brakes. It is really, really easy to get this circuit wrong. Chiara Valazari will come off the double turn, up towards the hairpin, turn in through that long left-hand sweeping hairpin. Gladish still doing a good job to hold on in front of Mattia Colnaghi, and as they come over the line this time by, we are going into the final lap, Ultima Volta, as they continue on their journey. The final lap begins then for Chiara Valazari. Maciej Gladish is 0.9 of a second behind him. He's certainly not losing that much ground to him. But Mattia Colnaghi wants to put pressure on him one last time. Juan Cota doing well in 4th place. James Igozzi P5. Then Rivera, Petrowski, Peebles and Strauben. But it's a real stalemate in terms of overtakes. Nobody's really able to make the bid. And the couple of drivers that have attempted the overtaking moves have found themselves off the road. Chase Fernandez, Francisco Macedo and Nathan Ty, all out of the race. Gabriel Gomez, by the way, has got ahead of Joan Ciconti. That puts him into 30th, but he's nowhere near the points. Only the top 9 drivers score points in this shortest of the 3 races this weekend. But there is the man who has controlled the pace of this race from the start. Got a lightning bolt launch, absolutely perfect start. Has controlled the pace of this race throughout, extended the lead before the safety car. On the restart, timed his restart to absolute perfection. Made sure that Maciej Gladish and Mattia Colnaghi would not even get a whisker of the race win. And this superb young talent, who is good at everything he turns his hand to, it seems. Whether it's esports, whether it's GTs, whether it's prototypes, or whether it's single-seaters, the man can do no wrong. He comes up to the chicane, through the right, through the left, and through the right again. And Chiara Valazari is going to tidy this race up and extend his lead in the championship from 20 points to 26 points. Everybody back home in Dubai will be loving this boy, and doing so in magnificent fashion. He comes through the final turn. He will get the victory he richly deserves. Chiara Valazari takes win #1 this weekend, but it's his 4th win of the season, I do believe. Excellent work from Chiano Alazzari. Another spectacular drive from him, and it is indeed win #4 after his double victory in Portimao and his victory at Alcañiz. It is a victory now in fantastic style here at Jerez. And he now has a championship lead of 20 points, 26 points now, in fact. Absolutely brilliant stuff from him. He can be so happy with what he's achieved. And it's an absolutely crushing display from Chiano Alazzari. The young man, born in Dubai, doing an absolutely fantastic job, representing the United Arab Emirates on the world stage, racing to become the first man from his nation to race in Formula One. And he certainly looks like he has the potential to go all the way to the top. Excellent work from Chiano Alazzari. A magnificent young contender. So much potential, so much aspiration. Great effort from Maciej Gladisz though. 2nd position for the Polish driver. A very strong start from him and cool as a cucumber throughout, making sure that he was not going to lose that 2nd place to Mattia Kolnagi at any point. He can be very happy indeed with his hard work. Kolnagi banking in the points for 3rd position. That's 12 points going his way. He can be satisfied with that. Not a bad result at all. And then 4th for Juan Cota, 5th for James Igozzi, and 6th place for Ernesto Rivera. The final 3-point scoring positions for Jan Ostrowski, Griffin Peebles, and the Belgian star Thomas Strauben. The crowd are applauding, and they've got every reason to. A very solid race drive. The drivers kept their composure very nicely indeed here. Just to tell you how quickly it's heating up here at Jerez. At the start of the race, it was 17 degrees Celsius air temperature. Just 25 or so minutes later, it's now 20 degrees Celsius. It gets hot very quickly here at Jerez. So if you imagine that by the time the 3rd race comes around a little later on in the day, it's going to be well into the 20s. Very different conditions that the drivers have had to play with today. So it's a victory for Chiano Alazzari. He gets the win in front of Maciej Gladisz and Mattia Kolnagi. The 3 championship contenders in the top 3 positions in the championship standings are going to be on the podium together for race 2. Sadly, we don't have time to stick around for the podium. We will hopefully get a word with our race winner, with Alex Garcia down there in pit lane, but obviously we've got the Euro Cup 3 race straight after this one. Mattia Kolnagi got a win yesterday, has to be content with 3rd today, 2nd in rookie. The Polish driver Maciej Gladisz, of course, coming through to take the win in the rookie race, but also 2nd in the overall rankings. But this man, Chiano Alazzari, has done what he set out to do. 2 wins at Portimao, 1 win at Aragon, now a win at Jerez. And with 4 races to go in the championship, he leads by 26 points. And that's what winning means to him. It's a big moment for Chiano Alazzari and the MP Motorsport team. Win #4 with 4 to go. 26 points is the gap. He cannot lose the championship lead this weekend. He can only see it shrink down to as little as 1 point, but hopefully that will not be the case. Maciej Gladisz goes to congratulate Chiano Alazzari, and he also gets a handshake from his father. Adam Gladisz is down there looking at the replays and the highlights of a great race. No problems at all for Chiano Alazzari, who strengthened his lead nice and early doors, just stretched out and pulled out a solid gap. Not many incidents through the course of the race. There were 3 retirements, of course, Chase Fernandez, Francisco Macedo, and this man, Nathan Tai. But otherwise, a pretty run-of-the-mill motor race, to be fair. Spanish F4 didn't exactly give us too many fisticuffs out there. But as far as the championship is concerned, it's great news for Chiano Alazzari. He gets his 4th win of the season and goes 1 step closer to becoming the F4 Spanish champion. And let's not forget that from F4 Spain, you can do big things. We've already seen Franco Colapinto make his way to Formula One this season after becoming the F4 Spanish champion a few years ago. So if he can do it, anybody can do it too. So Chiano Alazzari should be down there in pit lane with our man Alex Garcia, and I'm sure he will be absolutely ecstatic to talk about how brilliant his victory was. So there is the top 3 cars. Keanu Alazari, very happy with the way things have gone. I think he's just talking to the Spanish television network, and then he'll have a little bit of time for us. Mattia Colnaghi looking a little bit reserved, but then he didn't look particularly ecstatic over the win yesterday. He knows he's got a lot of work to do. He knows he's got a lot of points to put on the bank. But the team very happy with him. Look, you drove well in that race. It was always going to be tough to put pressure on Maciek, and he didn't crumble, but you did everything right. Sometimes you get the result you want, sometimes you don't, but it's about what you do and how you learn from it. Good efforts so far from Mattia Colnaghi this weekend. A win yesterday, a third today. He could go for the win again this afternoon, but he has got to face the fact that it's going to be Keanu Alazari on pole position. Here's Alex Garcia with our race winner, Keanu Alazari, for the 4th time.
Keanu Alazari, winner in race 2 here in Jerez. That was an important win, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely a very crucial one, but I knew that I would be ready for it the whole time since yesterday. Already in quali, I showed I was really strong, and yeah, I was confident in my race pace. My start was much better than yesterday, I could say. It was really, really lovely, and my restart as well was perfectly timed. Apart from that, my pace was amazing, steadily increasing the gap, and yeah, I'm really happy with that result. Very pleased and a little bit relieved. Now I feel ready to go for race 3.
Conditions very different from yesterday, but also very different from what we're going to have later on. How do you manage that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like I'm able to adapt very well no matter the condition, especially in a race situation. But yeah, it's going to be different starting from P6 compared to P1, but I'm ready to give it everything.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the win and good luck for later.
Thank you.
So these were the words from the winner from this race 2 here in Jerez. And as he was saying, you know, he's ready for more. He's ready for the next fight. He's starting from P6. That will be a little bit more difficult than it was in this case. He knew that the start was going to be crucial, but it is going to be just as important to you know, to get a good launch, to hopefully gain some positions and defend that lead. If he doesn't, as you said before, Jake, we're going to head to Barcelona with potentially a very narrow gap from first to second, and I think that would make for a very, very exciting ending in Barcelona, in the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya.
It certainly will. Muchas gracias, Alex Garcia. Thank you very much indeed for your hard work down in the pits for the F1 Spanish Championship. Euro Cup 3 is just around the corner, so I know you want to get sorted with that. Good luck with it.
Thank you. We'll get ready for it.
So with the victory going the way of Keanu Alazari, it's definitely a big step closer in his championship campaign. Race 3 this afternoon, he starts from lower down the grid. It could be a very interesting one to see how many places he can gain. Make sure you tune in for the 3rd race of the weekend a little later on. Bye for now.